Dr. Pugsley, what are some of the facilities you hope to be able to furnish this newly expanded campus area that urban renewal will provide?
On the urban renewal lands, Bob, we expect to develop an expansion of the student center. Secondly, we expect to build a new library. And thirdly, we expect to have parking spaces in 3 decks on the lower part. And over that, we will have academic buildings to accommodate a technical institute, a music and fine arts building, and general classrooms and instructional buildings.
You mentioned a new library. How much bigger than the present library will the new one be?
Let's talk about it in terms of the number of volumes accommodated. We have 153,000 titles or volumes in our present library, and the new one we would propose to build would accommodate 500,000. Now, in addition to that, there will be other services such as individual student carols, audiovisual equipment and rooms that are for individualized instruction.
What has first priority? Could you run through the priorities among these facilities?
Well, first in line, we have had the Music and Fine Arts and Drama building, and we place along parallel with that the Technical Vocational Institute, which will accommodate these 2-year programs. Next, then, general classroom, laboratory, and office structures. Then the library. Now, the Student Center, of course, is a facility that we must find funds other than appropriated funds for.
Doctor, what are some of the facilities you hope to put in your second urban renewal project in the campus area?
Of course, the first facility that we expect to place there, Bob, is the Physical Education Health Building. That's the one for which we got the $1 million federal grant, and we have $2.5 million, and we're going to start that hopefully this July.
Hello, members of the class of 1970. I want to congratulate you on achieving the milestone of graduating from YSU 50 years ago. We're so proud to count you as members of the Half Century Club. I wish I could be there to congratulate you in person, but I'm so happy to be able to recognize you and be a part of your virtual celebration. I thought I would use this opportunity to give you a brief update on YSU today. Many of you started in 1966 when Youngstown University was a private institution. You were on campus when it was undergoing a physical transformation after becoming a state-funded institution in 1967. If you visited campus over the last few years, you've noticed that the campus of YSU has undergone another major physical transformation. Wick Avenue, Lincoln Avenue, and currently Fifth Avenue have been part of a project that allowed for road resurfacing, new sidewalks, new lighting, utility lines being buried underground. We've created opportunities for many more students to live near campus with the construction of the University Edge and Enclave apartments, and now this fall, the new Campus Lofts apartment building. Other recent construction projects have enhanced campus life for our students, from Cafaro Field on the north side of campus, which is used for recreational activities and club sports such as soccer, rugby, lacrosse, to the first-class Barnes & Noble bookstore on the corner of 5th and Lincoln Avenues. We have a new indoor tennis center on the west side of campus, and the Don Constantini Multimedia Center at Stambaugh Stadium with classroom space for communication students and laboratory. Academic buildings have undergone renovations, including Cushwa Hall with the expansion of the physical therapy department, classroom space and additional renovations in Michelle Hall, and structural repairs in Ward Beecher Hall. Going forward, we're bringing together advanced manufacturing, educational opportunities, and workforce development through the building of the Excellence Training Center. It's a $12 million, 53,000 square foot facility being built using state and federal government funds. We're partnering with a number of local entities through this project to create educational and manufacturing opportunities that will advance the region's economy. I encourage you to visit campus when you're in the area and take a look at all these changes.
Hi, I'm Penny Pavelko, but you know me as Penny Loxo. I started here as a freshman, a proud freshman, in 1966, while we were still Youngstown University. And like you, I watched it become a state school that next fall, 1967. I was very active in student government, and I majored in mathematics and became a high school math teacher, and I'm now retired, which is a wonderful place to be. Pete Isgrove, Vice President of Student Government, and Penny Loxo, Chairman of Student Council, announced yesterday that they would run together for President and Vice President of Student Government. Isgrove from Philadelphia is a junior majoring in philosophy, and Loxo, a junior from North Jackson, is majoring in mathematics. Wow, can it really be 50 years ago? I can't believe it's been that long. It almost seems like yesterday. Looking back at those articles, it brings back so many memories of my time at YSU. Student government had lots of things we did. A couple that were interesting is we were the first to use voting machines on our election time. We also started a committee that we worked with Ohio senators to enable students to be a member of the Board of Trustees, and that is now in place throughout the state of Ohio. One of the things I loved the most about being on campus at that time is we were the first ones on campus when it became a state university. It happened the beginning of our sophomore year. And of course, state funding started coming in, and there were new buildings that just seemed to be sprouting up everywhere. I watched the planetarium, the engineering building. It was just amazing to see all of that happen. Youngstown State remains very personal to me and important, and I've tried to keep it a part of my life. I was a member of the Alumni Board of Directors. I was one of the committee members that was involved in arranging or trying to get a world record of the number of people dressed in penguin costumes. And I'm happy to report, if you haven't heard the news before, we really did get listed in the Guinness Book of World Records, and there were 972 people dressed as penguins of all ages that met at the Watts Center on homecoming. It was the 50th anniversary that year of our becoming a state university. Currently, I'm working with the committee on the legacy forest. We are planning to start urban forests on undeveloped land or abandoned land within the Youngstown area. And our goal is to plant one new tree each year for incoming freshmen. Our first planting is supposed to take place in late November, so that will be coming up soon. And hopefully in 20 years, we truly will have trees throughout the city in honor of freshmen and all of our students. I'd like to invite all of you to come back on campus sometime and see our beautiful campus. It's a true gem in the city of Youngstown. Stay safe, everyone, and go Penguins!
So the physical transformation that's gone on here has been absolutely amazing. As an example, the engineering school wasn't there. It was there in my second or third year. It got finished. This field that we're standing on did not exist. We played at Rayan Stadium, but we would go out to Liberty, but we didn't have the typical sleds that you see on a football field, and it was just us hitting each other. And it was just a great experience. My name is Chuck Joseph. I attended YSU between 1965 and 1970. I majored in mechanical engineering, and I had the fortunate opportunity to play on the football team under Dyke Beatty. I originally was from Salem, and I got drafted, if you will. Dyke Beatty, one day in the library, come up to me and my dad and said, "How'd you like to play football here at YSU?" I'm like, "Sure." Told him I was in engineering, which is a 5-year curriculum, and he said, "Well, we'll give you a free ride, books, tuition, room and board, all that." So obviously that got my attention. Well, our football team had a reputation of being hard-nosed. We hit hard, okay? We had a strange offense in regards to the fact that typically, as back in those days, everybody thought the quarterback would get up underneath the center and the ball would get snapped. The uniqueness of Dyke's offense was more of a side saddle type of deal where the quarterback would stand almost like at 2 o'clock and he would get a short punt snapped to him. And then the plays all derived off of that. And the other piece that happened was there was a halfback that would go in motion every play, and the quarterback would fake to him and then run the balance of the play, like off tackle or here or there. But that halfback would continue and run out around the end, faking as if he had the ball. And then periodically, coach would call it such that the quarterback would hand it to him, and he's carrying his fake out. And more often than not, that play worked. We were average as far as wins and losses, and that's okay, but we had a wonderful time. I got to play 4 years and in different positions. I played inside linebacker, I played cornerback. I was co-captain my senior year, so it was really, it was just a great experience. I'm proud of my education. I'm proud of what being a member of this football team, having the friends that I had, getting the education from the teachers that I had. You know, we talk about Doc Tarantine. He was my vibrations teacher. He still sits up in the stands. I'm proud of the education it gave me. I was able to take that. I spent 31 years working at Packard Electric as an engineer, and then I got into management. I was operating in plants. I had different departments that I was responsible for. And I couldn't have done that had I not had this education and the get started end of my career. And football combined with that gives me that teamwork effort. And I carried a lot of that teamwork concept into my professional career.
Hello, my name is Bruce Sherman, and this is my wife, Carol. We both graduated from YSU in 1970. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, and Carol graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Education. We currently reside in Canfield during the summer and Naples, Florida during the winter.
Following graduation, Bruce earned his CPA license and worked in public accounting, and I taught public school in Liberty and substitute taught in Boardman. In 1995, we combined our knowledge and skills and opened Sherman Creative Promotions, a promotional products company. We worked together for 23 years until our recent retirement in September of 2018.
Over the years, we have recognized the value of the nonprofit organizations in our community. We have served on various boards and volunteered in different capacities. When we retired in 2018, we wanted to do something special for Youngstown State. We also wanted to encourage future generations of YSU students to take an active role in nonprofit organizations. To that end, we established the Bruce and Carol Sherman Scholarship for full-time students pursuing a minor and/or certificate in nonprofit leadership studies. We encourage all of you to think about helping future YSU students.
We have stayed involved at YSU over the last 50 years in various volunteer capacities. Bruce served on the YSU Alumni Board for many years, and we are both life members of the Alumni Society. We belong to Pete's Pride and have volunteered at the Canfield Fair, Crash Day for new and potential students, and helped at graduation ceremonies.
WYSU signed on the air in 1969 while we were students on campus. We are still avid listeners of the station and have volunteered with their on-air fundraisers for over 20 years.
We fondly remember our years at YSU and attribute our success in life and in business to the quality of education we received. We take great pride in the growth and stature of the university over the past 50 years. If you have not visited campus lately, you should definitely put it on your bucket list.
Okay, Anthony D'Ambrosio.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane D'Ambrosio, and Tony and I graduated from YSU in 1970, and we met on campus. I was a teacher for 30 years, and Tony was also in education. We have 2 children, 4 grandchildren that are the love of our lives, and YSU is up there too. We love it, and we'll always love it.
So I'm from Pittsburgh originally, so I'm one of the few that at that time was living on campus. It's not like now where you have a lot of students living on campus. And so for me, it was a different experience than for most other students who were mostly commuters, coming and going.
I graduated from Ursuline in June of 1967, and a week later, I started at YSU, summer classes, and I graduated in 3 years. And I was able to do that because I worked on campus, and I was able to register for all my classes first before anyone else. I started off in the education department, and then I was transferred over to Kilcolly. And my job was to be nice to the boys and pass out their mail, and that's where we met.
Well, I knew that once I met her that I had to go out with her, that she was my girl. And so it took me a year for her to finally say yes.
Yeah, Tony had more of a campus involvement than I did. I mostly worked and tried to get done in 3 years, and just had classes. But Tony had a more fun experience than I did.
Well, I was heavily involved in the fraternity. As a matter of fact, I was president of the fraternity at the time we started dating. I think that really prepped me for my career. My entire future was based on all the experiences I learned by working in a fraternity, dealing with people, the leadership skills, and that just carried on throughout my adult life. I remember because I was in a business school, so most of our classes were, because we didn't have a business school, most of our classes were in the Lincoln Town Hall, and so there, we had classes everywhere, wherever we could. We had trailers for classes. There wasn't much there. Pollock House was another thing that I was involved in. Totally different than what it is today. Completely different.
But still beautiful. I always thought YSU had the most beautiful campus. It was the flowers. It was gorgeous. And I did a lot of walking because I had to do a lot of sending papers from one building to another. So I did a lot of walking on campus with my job. So it was fun. It was really a pretty campus. It still is beautiful. Well, for me, it was more like a family setting because all my friends graduated. I graduated with. I went to YSU. I didn't live on campus, but I worked on campus, so I got to know the teachers, the professors, the people I worked with. So it was more like every day going to school was like going home again. I had a great 3 years at YSU, and I'll always remember those days.
It was a college then. It might have been Youngstown University, but it wasn't very big. And I would walk quite a bit, and that's okay. But the only thing new at the time was Kilcawley. Everything else was vintage Jones Hall, so to speak. Okay, yeah, Daniel J. Bokish, YSU class of 1970, and after 47 years in education, I'm finally retired. That was in mid-late 60s. Vietnam War was raging. The hippie movement had gotten to Youngstown, and that identity was nationwide, not just in different spaces. It was nationwide, and it was tough. It was real tough. It was things were changing, especially for people in my age group. There was a cultural evolution going on, a music evolution going on. All of these things came together in the late 60s. When we left there in 1970, and then when I went back in 2015 or 16 or whatever it was, what a change. Oh my Lord. There's so many new buildings, new programs. I think after they became a state university, it really started to explode. And it was very attractive. And to where it is right now, it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's the campus is beautiful. In fact, I've made comments that as nice as YSU's campus is, compared to where it was when we first started, I was blessed to see how they have improved and grown.
I'm John Lindner. I came from a small town in upstate New York, Canandaigua, New York, in the Finger Lakes. And I came to Youngstown thinking I was going to be a music major, majoring in tuba. But the times were changing, and I ended up giving up the tuba, becoming an education major, and getting very involved in the campus and the community that led to experiences that allowed me to grow and change in ways that I couldn't have imagined. I arrived in Youngstown in 1966 from a small white town in upstate New York, thinking I was going to be a tuba major. But it was the beginning of a time of all kinds of things happening in our nation and in Youngstown. So I got involved in issues of race relations, and that was a whole new thing for me. And it began to open up a world that I had not known before. And so gradually there was a layering of experiences and learnings, and learning about diversity and poverty and labor and environmental justice that really shaped me in new directions. So I gave up the tuba at the end of this first semester and took a more liberal arts approach to my studies. The campus was small and beginning its growth when I was there. In fact, my first year was the first year that it was a state university. Prior to that, it was a Youngstown University. It wasn't a state university. So it was the beginning of things. Nationally, October 15th, 1969, there was an event called the Vietnam Moratorium, where there was a huge rally in Washington. And then we, all across the country, campuses and communities were having rallies to end the war. And then we had, I think, about 1,000 people that showed up for the rallies that day. And we started on campus and then walked to the downtown square where everybody met to finish the rally. You know, people that were very supportive of the war up till then, but this was a big change. And as the Youngstown Vindicator describes it, it was a sober event, but it was powerful. It was not only the classroom learning, but it was the context of learning and the kind of personal growth, the opening up to new experiences of the world, and learning skill sets that I had no idea I had, that laid the groundwork for a life that's, I feel very privileged and it's been extraordinary. I've traveled the world. I've been able to work on causes that I've been passionate about. And that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't ended up taking my tuba and going to Youngstown.
COVID-19 has presented challenges for YSU, like it has for all universities and businesses. But we're in the middle of a productive semester with different instructional modes being offered to students. About 20% of the classes are face-to-face, 60% hybrid, agile, online, rotating students in and out, 20% truly online. These different modalities, we've had a chance to survey, find out from the students where we might need to make some changes for the spring as we continue to work hard. I'm very proud of our efforts made by our students, faculty, and staff to adapt to these unusual times and work together to ensure the success of Youngstown State University for the next 50 years. Once again, congratulations on the 50-year anniversary of your graduation from YSU. Welcome to the Half Century Club, and go Penguins.